Hi, everybody. This is Elgin Subwaysurfer Bolling, your creative caricature marketing consultant. And this is part two of my discussion on how to do comics. Like I said in the first tape, this whole idea about doing comics, you look at some sites, they make it seem like it's something hard, but it's something that's very, very easy and within reach, of any of us. Why is that? Because, in my opinion, comics are all about narrative. It's all about story. And all of us have story in us. Okay? Stories are made up of your personal life experiences. And although we may do the same things like fall in love, first car, first job, because of who we are, where we live, what our race is sometimes, how we're built, and how we filter things through our personality, each story is going to be different, each story is going to be unique, and each story is going to have our own personality spin on it, no matter what our personality is, and that's what's going to resonate with people. And a matter of fact, that's what always resonates with people when you put yourself into anything. People have the uncanny ability for knowing when they're being conned, for knowing when you are somehow lying to them or putting on airs. Now, when most people, I notice, approach the idea of doing comics, they always go to the fantasy area. What I mean by that, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, the superhero area rather, Dungeons and Dragons, large conflicts, generally stuff that they don't really know about and have to spend a hard time thinking about in order to make up a story. Now, some people are very talented, very imaginative, and they can do that. But I say there's an easier way of getting into it, and it's by doing your own story. And I always suggest this as a way of getting into it first. Why? It's obvious. You're always with yourself. You know what you did. You know what you thought. And you also know what you wanted to do. So it's very easy to construct a story from that. Stories are, and I have my notes here, stories, the best stories have some kind of strong emotional content attached to it. And I find that usually when you look into past experiences, like childhood experiences, for instance, if you're older, you're like in your 30s or in your 50s, like me, yeah, I know I don't look it. Anyway, stories from the past usually have a strong emotional context, especially from childhood. Maybe you were bullied. Maybe you were the bully. Maybe you had problems with, girls or boys or whatever. Maybe you had a problem fitting in. Maybe you moved a lot. Whatever it is, I'm sure that you can find at least one story from your past that was comical, that was tragic, that was heartwarming, or that was just downright crazy, but you went through it and you experienced it. So you want to start there. Now, the interesting thing and the rewarding thing about doing your own story is that as mundane or as boring or as kooky as you think it is, I can guarantee you that if you write your own story and put words and pictures to it, it's going to resonate with somebody and you will find an audience. The next thing that you can do your stories on is present experience. Present. There are a dozen, I bet you when you go outside today, you're going to see something, you're going to be involved in something, even if it's just a mundane conversation, with somebody at the grocery store. Something weird is going to happen. All you got to do is be open for it. You can kind of talk about that. There's a show that I like called The King of Queens. One of my favorite characters is played by Ben Stiller, who plays the character Arthur. I think his name is Arthur. I don't remember. But anyway, what I love about the character is he goes through these little battles that exist in his head, but they're really, really important to him. And he just amplifies them. Like there's one episode where he's in a movie theater and he's got his hand on the armrest, and the person next to him is like kind of, resting his arm on the armrest, and Arthur makes a big thing out of it, and it becomes a whole half-hour episode. We all have these little battles that we go through that are so mundane and ridiculous that they only make sense to us, but they're really important to us. If you write on something like that in Illustrator, you're going to find that it's going to resonate with another person who says, hey, yeah, I get ticked off too, by people who jump ahead of me in line, and they know that I was there, but this moron has to reach over my shoulder and around my head and pay for his cigarettes because he must get that smoke now. That's one of my pet peeves, by the way. Anyway, I'm going to talk more about this in the next segment, of how you can get ideas and start writing that script for your comic.